Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode of Huntsy Plays. Today we're diving into one of the most fascinating business stories in the world, Amazon. You probably think that Amazon is simple. Click buy and a box shows up to your door 2 days later, but every holiday season, Amazon runs a $10 billion financial juggling act. Massive warehouses, planes, trucks, thousands of seasonal workers, and fees most don't even see. Most people outside the company have no idea how complicated and expensive it really is. By the end of this video, you'll understand how Amazon went from a tiny garage startup to controlling the most complicated logistics system on the planet, and how the Christmas season both makes and nearly breaks them every year. If you love Minecraft and learning real-world stories, grab a snack, settle in, and let's go. For those of you who don't know, I'm Huntsy, and this is Huntsy Plays. The plan for this series is simple. We'll build a forever world in Minecraft, and while we do that, I'll tell you some of the most interesting stories from business and finance history. Keep in mind, none of this is financial advice. These are just stories and how companies make decisions, grow, and sometimes fail spectacularly. Today, we're talking about Amazon, but in future episodes, we'll cover other companies and their wild business decisions and the lessons that you can take from them, all while keeping it fun and easy to follow. So grab your pickaxe and let's dive into how Amazon went from a small garage startup to dominating the holiday season. So the first part of this video is going to be about Amazon's early days and the necessity of control. Jeff Bezos started Amazon in 1994 in a small garage in Bellevue, Washington, and I mean really small. Doors were used as desks, cables ran everywhere, and boxes were stacked to the ceiling. It's hard to imagine now, but the earliest concept wasn't even a general store. It was just a bookstore operating online. This was before dial-up was common, so the idea was frankly insane to most people. Early Amazon constantly lost money, and going public in 1997 didn't solve everything. For years, analysts called it a money-losing bookstore that might never survive. Think about the pressure they were. A public company facing quarterly earnings calls, and their core strategy was to intentionally lose money. Bezos' strategy was simple but bold. Growth over short-term profit. He wanted to dominate online retail, achieve massive scale, and build market share before worrying about immediate earnings. The philosophy was get big fast, and profits will follow when we can leverage that scale. Think about it like planting a tree farm in Minecraft. You spend hours gathering every piece of wood and sapling, planting them perfectly, and building the infrastructure, all before you see a single log added to your inventory. Bezos spent years building infrastructure, establishing customer trust, and creating digital systems before any real reliable profits appeared. But this was a persistent, terrifying problem that almost destroyed the company every December. Shipping. Amazon relied entirely on UPS, FedEx, and USPS. Every Christmas, carriers were overloaded, costs spiked unexpectedly, and the packages were late. This wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a fundamental risk to the core business model. Customer trust. The absolute crisis point came in 2013. That year, over 1 million packages delivered via external carriers missed Christmas delivery. For a company built entirely on customer experience, this was catastrophic. That chaos pushed Bezos to declare war on reliance, laying the groundwork for Amazon's logistics empire and what would become the hidden holiday delivery tax. The customer obsession factor. There's a mini story that's become very famous about Bezos and how he insisted on leaving one chair vacant in meetings. That empty chair, he said, represented the customer, the most important person in the room. He was obsessed. He personally used to read and forward customer complaint emails to the relevant executives, often adding a single question mark in the body. That single question mark, a former executives recall, was a terrifying signal that something had gone fundamentally wrong. That obsession with customer experience, specifically making sure the packages arrived on time, still shapes Amazon's financial decisions today. When deliveries failed in 2013, it was a fundamental failure of the core principle. The birth of logistics vision. By the late 1990s, Bezos realized that relying on external shipping carriers was a risk too large to manage at scale. Costs could spike unexpectedly, deliveries could fail, and customer trust could be broken. He famously asked, how do we control our own destiny? The answer wasn't just getting better deals from carriers, it was becoming the carriers. This meant a massive unprecedented investment in capital expenditure, or CapEx, the money spent on physical assets like a warehouse, a truck, and planes. So we started small, experimenting with fulfillment centers, early warehouse robotics, and strategies to control shipping end to end. This wasn't just about speed, it was about risk mitigation and cost predictability. This was the seed of what would become Amazon's massive logistics empire, a financial moat so deep that no competitor could compete or hope to cross it. This may be hard to imagine, but in simplistic terms, it's like inventory management at the beginning of our Minecraft world here. Trying to keep all my stone, wood, and iron separate right now feels chaotic. That's probably what the first warehouse felt like. But once we build a proper sorting system, the efficiency jumps up. That's the difference between relying on USPS and having your own Amazon Air fleet. Part 2. Fulfillment in Q4 costs, the engine and the overdraft. Let's dive into the core financial concept that drives Amazon's Q4 results, fulfillment. Fulfillment is everything a company does to get a product to a customer, and it is a financial beast. Imagine in Minecraft, you want to bake a cake? Fulfillment is the hours spent gathering wheat, milking the cow, finding the eggs, crafting the bowls and the buckets, and storing the finished cake in your chest, ready for delivery. Fulfillment is all those invisible steps Amazon takes to move millions of products from warehouse shelves to doorsteps. The Q4 cost spike. Fulfillment costs are massive, and they spike wildly during the holidays. In Q4 2022, for example, Amazon spent $25.4 billion on fulfillment alone. Now compare that to the operating income of $2.7 billion. That gap is staggering. It means that during the holidays, the vast majority of money earned goes straight to keeping the logistics engine running, not immediately to profit. Now this is unavoidable, and it's a necessary overdraft to maintain customer loyalty and market share. What do those billions cover, though, you may ask? That $25 billion covers a huge list of expenses, all intensified by the holiday rush. Receiving and storing inventory, the cost of physical warehouses and the systems to keep track of every single item, packing and shipping products, the cost of labor and the packaging materials. Amazon buys cardboard in bulk like no one else. Seasonal labor costs, hiring, training, and paying hundreds of thousands of temporary workers, often at premium wages to cope with the surge. Robots, forklifts, trucks, planes, the massive maintenance and depreciation costs of the entire automated fleet. Packaging materials and utilities, keeping those massive fulfillment centers lit, heated, and running 24/7. Now, one key fact with Amazon is they have a third-party seller factor. They have fulfillment by Amazon. So here's where the hidden delivery tax comes in. Over half of Amazon sales comes from that third-party seller using the fulfillment by Amazon, or FBA. These sellers pay Amazon to store, pack, and ship their items, giving them the coveted Prime eligible status. Now, this is a brilliant financial move by Amazon. They get to use sellers' inventory to fill their warehouses, but the seller assumes the inventory risk. Now, they do charge fees for this, and during Q4, Amazon's storage and shipping fees for those FBA sellers can spike up to 8 times the normal rate. Why it's called peak season surcharge and fees for long-term storage or overcapacity. Sellers have little choice if they want access to Prime customers, especially since most gift buyers start their shopping on Amazon. This is the delivery tax applied directly to the backbone of the platform. Before we wrap up part 2, we're going to be talking about one more mini story, the costly toy shortage. So in 2018, a third-party toy seller reported that the storage fees alone for November and December were so high that they effectively cost more than the total profit that they made from selling those toys. That's how intense the Q4 spike can be. It forces sellers to become perfect forecasters, or Amazon uses their financial leverage to capture that excise profit. Part 3. So this part, we're going to be diving into the Prime and customer lifetime value and the genius loss leader that Amazon has. Amazon launched Prime in 2005, and it's arguably the single most important financial product Amazon ever created. It's a classic example of a loss leader. A loss leader is something sold at a financial loss or very thin margin to generate significant revenue elsewhere. Think about it like this. If your local supermarket sells milk cheaper than everyone else, they lose a little bit on the milk, but they know you'll buy bread, eggs, and cereal while you're there, which is where they make the real profit. That's what Amazon did with Prime. Free 2-day shipping, loses money per order, but it encourages customers to spend more overall. This ties directly into their customer lifetime value, the CLV, the total financial value a customer brings over the entire time they shop with a business. Prime members are the highest CLV customer. Industry reports consistently show that Prime members spend dramatically more, often 2 to 3 times more than non-members. Even if Amazon loses a few dollars on expedited shipping, securing the customer's loyalty for a decade is worth thousands. We can relate this to setting up our own base here in Minecraft. You spend a diamond on a high-efficiency enchantment for your pickaxe. The diamond costs you up front, but because that pickaxe is efficient, you mine 10 times more iron more than the next month than you would have. The pickaxe, or Prime in this example, was a small upfront investment for a massive long-term return. Crucially, Prime isn't just shipping anymore. It's a whole ecosystem: video, music, Twitch, perks, and whole food discounts. These aren't just perks. These are financial retention tools. The more value Amazon adds to Prime, the higher the switching costs, the harder it is for you to cancel. The holiday season reinforces this as you locked in and relying on the whole system for gifting. The true cost. It is estimated that the cost of shipping alone for Amazon Prime members vastly exceeds the annual membership fee. That deficit is covered by the increased revenue from the members themselves and the massive profits from Amazon's web services, AWS, which we'll touch on later. Prime allows Amazon to control the customer experience and therefore the profit. Part 4. The Logistics Empire in CapEx, aka Amazon's Moat. Amazon didn't stop with Prime. They built a physical empire designed to solve the 2013 shipping crisis forever. This required massive, sustained CapEx, the money a company spends on physical assets like buildings and equipment that will provide value for years. The scale of the moat. The size of this CapEx is staggering. They spend over $30 billion annually on logistics infrastructure. The result? Over 1,300 fulfillment centers, sortation centers, and delivery stations worldwide. Their own airline, Amazon Air, with a fleet of dedicated cargo jets, hundreds of thousands of last-mile vans and trucks driven by Amazon's flex drivers and contractors. Proprietary warehouse robotics like Kiva systems that make their centers hyper-efficient. The strategic advantage of their CapEx. CapEx means big, multi-year investment. This would be like us spending tons of diamonds, iron, and redstone to build and secure a high-speed rail system across the map. It's expensive up front, but it lets us survive, work faster, move faster, and grow our little world here faster than any competitor. The initial cost is our moat. This spending makes it nearly impossible for competitors like Target or Walmart to catch up to Amazon's logistical scale without spending decades and billions of dollars. Now, Amazon did shift, and they now operate using a regional shift. So this is where Amazon realized shipping a package 3,000 miles is expensive, but shipping it 10 miles is pretty cheap. They shifted from a centralized warehouse model to a regional hub and spoke model. This means more warehouses closer to major cities. This strategy drastically reduces the distance traveled per package, lowering fuel and carry costs, and more importantly, enabling a same-day or one-day delivery, a speed few others can match or compete with, especially during the holiday rush. The seasonal labor overdraft is something that Amazon does face. All this infrastructure they have still requires humans. The seasonal hiring is enormous, often adding hundreds of thousands of temporary workers every fourth quarter. The financial implication is complex. Amazon must pay a premium for temporary labor, incurring huge training and retention costs, but it avoids carrying that massive payroll for the entire year. It's a finely tuned, expensive dance. Part 5. Who really pays that hidden tax on sellers? We've established that Amazon's fulfillment costs are massive, and Prime fees don't typically cover them. So who pays for the convenience? The short answer is twofold: the third-party sellers, and ultimately, you, the consumer. The Fulfilled by Amazon dependents. Over 50% of Amazon sales come from third-party sellers using Fulfilled by Amazon. Sellers pay Amazon a fee to store their inventory and utilize the Amazon Logistics Network. This gives them the coveted Prime eligible badge, the biggest driver of sales on the platform. The rising peak surcharges during Q4, storage and shipping fees for Fulfilled by Amazon sellers rise sharply, sometimes through complex new surcharges added just for the peak season. Sellers pay these fees to maintain Prime eligibility and avoid massive holiday-related storage fines. This is the holiday delivery tax applied directly to the product's wholesale cost. The financial squeeze. The pressure on these small businesses is immense. They have to perfectly forecast demand. If they overestimate, Amazon hits them with long-term storage fees. They can quickly wipe out any profits. If they underestimate, they lose sales. They are essentially renting Amazon's logistics strength during its busiest, most expensive time, and Amazon charges a premium for that access. Consumers may not see the fees directly, but costs are inevitably baked into the product's price. The seller, having paid Amazon's high Q4 FBA fees, must slightly raise the price of their item to maintain their profit margin. So when you buy that holiday gift, a small invisible portion of that price is going to cover Amazon's delivery costs. Amazon's genius is turning what was once a high operational cost into a strategic revenue generator. They turn costs into profit, keeping their delivery speed high and their customers loyal while competitors struggle to simply keep up. Part 6. The Q4 Christmas Season Strategy. The annual pressure test that Amazon faces. Q4 isn't just a regular quarter for Amazon, it's the annual pressure test. It makes the make or break season where all their systems are pushed to the absolute limit. Packages spike, volume goes vertical, stressing every sorter and trucker. Labor costs spike, they pay premium wages and overtime to temporary staff. Fuel and transportation costs spike. Demand drives up market rates. Customers expect speed. Deliveries must still be perfect. Even on December 24th, Amazon survives their annual pressure test because they committed to owning the chain. They didn't just hope UPS can handle it. They fly their own Amazon airplanes, drive their own delivery vans, and use their own regional centers to control the process. They use predictive data modeling to forecast exactly where inventory needs are and where they need to push product to, right down to the neighborhood levels. Everything seems effortless, but it's a carefully planned, highly expensive system, a system that only their massive financial resources can sustain. It is the absolute dominance in the e-commerce space. We can think about it like if you were trying to deliver holiday gifts to 1,000 different Minecraft villages who will live scattered across all the biomes. You'd need a flawless strategy, dozens of helpers, and extra transport infrastructure. Amazon does that for millions of real-world customers daily, and they do it by making others pay for the complexity. Let's summarize the key financial takeaways from Amazon's holiday dominance. They dominated by owning the fulfillment chain. The 2013 shipping crisis proved they had to control their own destiny through massive capex. Prime is a small upfront investment for a long-term loyalty. The real revenue is the customer's lifetime value, the CLV, not the membership fee. Christmas nearly breaks them, but their systems survive. The $25+ billion fulfillment cost is the price of market dominance. Sellers and customers share the holiday delivery tax through the FBA peak surcharges and inevitable price increases. The consumer pays for the speed and convenience. Success comes from the capital investment, operational efficiency, and predicting human behavior. They bet their entire business on customer obsession and scale. Well, guys, that's the story of Amazon. From garage startup to logistics empire, and how the Christmas season challenges them every year. Next episode, we'll continue building our forever world here and explore how other retailers like Best Buy struggle to react to Amazon's dominance in the electronics space. If you like this mix of Minecraft and real business stories, hit subscribe and comment with the wildest purchase you've made and whether Prime was worth it or not. Thanks, guys. Hope to see you around again. Have a good one. Bye.